Hi there, and welcome to One Degree Advisors, where we help families cut through the noise to make confident financial decisions. So one of the big things that was passed recently was the CARE Act, and there's a lot of different provisions within that. But one of the things that's catching a lot of people's eyes has to do with RMDs, or required minimum distributions. And so for 2020, required minimum distributions have been suspended. They've been canceled. And there's a lot of questions around this. What does it mean for me? Et cetera. And so we're going to dive into some of those questions and answer some of those. So one of the questions that we're getting is, so I understand, RMDs are suspended for 2020, but does that mean I need to make them up in additional years or next year and the following years?
Yeah, so the short answer is no, you don't have to make it up. So typically an RMD applies to on your own retirement account if you're older than 70 and a half, or according to a recent adjustment in the rule, if you're over 72. Okay, so it has to do with a mandatory minimum distribution that you have to take out of a retirement account. This could also apply if you've inherited an IRA or retirement account from someone else, and you're forced to take out a minimum distribution. Short answer is no, you don't have to make that up in future years. It's just suspended for 2020.
Okay. So if folks are not required to take a distribution this year and they don't need to make it up in future years, then who should be considering, not taking a distribution this year?
Yeah, the reason for the required minimum distribution rule in the first place is because that money that generally comes out of a retirement account is taxable income. So, the IRS basically says, okay, you have to take this money out because
want my money back.
Revenue at some point. Yeah, so why somebody would not want to take it is if they don't need the income. So if you're basically like, yeah, it's just extra, or I'm taking it and reinvesting it in a taxable account anyway, then you may want to leave it in your IRA, and therefore you don't get taxed on that extra income.
Yep. Yeah. Okay, good. Now, a lot of our folks have been taking advantage of qualified charitable distributions, at least a lot of our clients. And so we've been encouraging that. It's a great tax saving tool and a great way to get to charity. So now that RMDs are suspended this year or canceled, does that also mean that folks can't take qualified charitable distributions, or how does that work going forward?
Yeah, no, they absolutely can still do the qualified charitable distribution. So I think in most cases where people have used this strategy, they want to give charitably from their IRA. It still makes a lot of sense because the income is not taxable as long as it goes directly from the retirement account to the charity. So I think most people will continue that. And I think it's important if you can continue to do that, because charities are hurting right now, donations are down. So if you can continue that, it's fine. But at the same time, if the only reason you were doing it would be to avoid the taxable income, then you certainly could suspend that as well.
Yeah. Now, what happens? So some folks, they may be taking their RMDs early in the year.
Yeah.
Right? So they may have already taken their RMD, and now this rule comes out and says, well, you don't need to take it for this year, which I think has some people scratching their heads and going, well, I wish I would have taken it later in the year.
Yeah.
So is all hope lost for them? What can they do if they've already taken their RMD?
Yeah, short answer is there are provisions to return that money back into your IRA. It can be a little bit complicated based on when you took it in the year. Also, if you took it in multiple increments. So short answer is yes, you can return it if you've taken it out in 2020, but it would be best to talk with your tax and financial advisors. And that really goes for any of this. The rules can get a little bit more complicated than we're able to get through here. So you want to consult with your advisors. Find out the best strategy to return that money.
Sure. No, and that's good. And of course, again, remember distinctions between, traditional IRAs or traditional 401ks and beneficiary accounts. Those rules seem a little bit more black and white, where if you've taken a beneficiary required minimum distribution, it appears that you aren't really able to return those funds.
Right.
But again, I think a lot of these rules are still continuing to get solidified, and people are getting a lot more clarity. Right. So again, that's good. Thank you for helping us out today. If you'd like any of your other questions answered, or if you'd like us to take a look at your investments financial plan, give us a call, visit our website. We'd love to talk with you.